Okay, so it's recording. So welcome. This is the online elementary statistics class. And this is the second version of the webinar. This one I'm actually recording, and thanks for coming. It's really important that you're here, and I did take attendance. Normal webinars, I don't take attendance. I'll talk about how we're going to be doing that for normal webinars. But for this one, it's so important to be here live. I do take attendance. And then what I do is those who can't make it, I can make you write a long essay. So I wanted to make sure that everyone's here, because I'm sure you didn't want to write a long essay. So my name is Larry, and my plan today is to introduce you to the class, introduce you to each other, show you the syllabus, show you the Canvas, and talk about the assignments that are going to be happening every week, and talking about the information that's going to be delivered online every week, and some of the policies and things you have to worry about. So that's the plan. I figure first I'm going to introduce myself, let you know kind of where I am, what I'm doing. I'm on campus right now. I usually be on campus. So, which is Lake Tahoe, and you do not have to be in Lake Tahoe, but you can be, of course. And I've been teaching statistics for longer than some of you guys have been alive, probably. So I've been teaching statistics for 24 years now. So it's a long time. About half of that time I have been teaching online statistics. So I've been teaching online for a very, very long time. We got Lauren McCauley. Let me write you in. Good. That page done. 3 more. So I've been teaching statistics for a very long time. I like to do new things. So I'm always adding to my course. I'm trying to add as many information pieces as I can so that no matter what your learning style is, you'll be able to learn, whether it's video or textbooks or these webinars, some interactive activities, and group work, which you'll see you'll be doing that too. So that's my idea, and I'm here for you. That's the most important thing. I'm not here for me. I'm here to help you out. My goal is that all of you make it through the class and get through what your goals are. But it does take work. And if you're not willing to do work, then it's not going to work for you. This does take some work. Most everybody who does all the work, and there's a lot, but just about everyone who does all the work passes. Okay, that's the good news. Doesn't mean they'll all get A's, but just about everyone passes. Those who don't do the work, none of them pass. If you do no work, you don't pass, period. So just note that there are some online classes where you can kind of stumble along a little bit. That this isn't one of those. You're going to really have to stay on top of things, or things will go very poorly for you. But if you do, things should go fine, and I'm here for you. So whenever you have questions, I will be here and help you out. Okay, that is what I'm all about. I spend kind of an obnoxious number of hours doing this stuff. All right, so what I want you to do, one at a time, very quickly, because there's a lot of you, is if you can introduce yourself. So you have to unmute your microphone just for a moment. Introduce yourself, to say who you are, and maybe where you're from, and what your major is. Because I always like to cater the class. If I can, I noticed, at least for last night when I did the orientation for the first group, there were a lot of nursing majors. That may be different for you guys. Nursing seemed to be the big one. I had nursing and business were the 2 biggies, but nursing especially. It may not be true for this group. We'll see. So Sebastian, you're just first on my little list here. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Sebastian Swift. I'm from San Diego, California, but I go to school in Illinois, so I'm taking this class online. And my major is exercise science.
Is what?
Exercise science.
Exercise science. Okay, great. Annie?
My name's Annie. I'm from Lake Tahoe, and I'm in Lake Tahoe now, and I'm a political science major.
Great. And we'll find out in exercise science, there's a lot of statistics to find out what works. Right? What is the best kind of exercise to do for this particular goal? And similarly in political science, I think I'm not going to tell you something. I might tell you next week. But in political science, there's a lot of statistics. They are always doing surveys. And as we have seen in the last election a year ago, they didn't do it right. And we'll actually talk about that tomorrow night, what happened and what the issues were. So Abigail, if you hit the mute button, then we can hear you.
My name is Abby. I am from Denair, and I go to school at Modesto Junior College, and I'm majoring in ag science.
Great, great. There's a lot of you from Modesto. I seem to have a reputation there. I don't completely understand why, but I definitely have a reputation in Modesto. I've only been there once in my life, but it wasn't good to do this. And ag science definitely has a lot of statistics because you want to find out the most effective technique, whether it be, the spacing of whatever you're growing or whatever it might be. And you're going to try a bunch of them, see which one works, and decide if you have how many you need to try before you know it actually worked. That's real important. Michelle?
My name is Michelle. I'm originally from New Jersey, currently living in South Lake Tahoe, and I'm going back to school doing prereqs for either nursing or PT.
Great, great. And in nursing, something you may or may not know is that pretty much every decision that's made by the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, and other groups like that, if they don't do a statistical trial, it doesn't get approved.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you learn about statistics, have a part of.
Nice.
And you'll get that. And N. Marino? And Marino, you may not be there, I don't see your face, but.
Hello, I'm Natalie, and I live in South Lake Tahoe, and my major, I'm going into psychology.
Great, great. Psychology also, if you don't have statistics to back up your idea, nobody listens to you. Just let you know. It's a real important insight. And Luis?
My name is Luis. I'm from Denair, California. I go to MJC also, and my major is agriculture business.
Great, great. We've already talked a little bit about agriculture, really important. And Daryl, yes?
Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm also from Modesto Junior College. I live in Denair, and my major is also ag business.
Great. By the way, I have no idea where Denair is. Oh, good. And Chris?
Hey, my name's Chris. I'm from Sacramento, California. I go to Sacramento City College. My major is business finance.
Great. I know a lot of the faculty in Sac City. Business, by the way, if you understand statistics, your business will go better. And if you understand it really well, you can make a fortune in the stock market. Just let you know that. I haven't made a fortune, but I've done well. So we'll talk about that throughout the course.
Good to hear.
Yeah. And Weston?
Hi, I'm Weston Fair. I'm also from Denair, and I also go to MJC, and I'm an ag business major.
Great. We got this Denair group.
I know.
I don't even know. I've never even heard of it. But I know what ag business is. We've talked about that. Morgan?
Hey, my name is Morgan Montoya. I go to LTCC, and I am a cognitive science major.
Okay, yeah, cognitive science definitely has lots of stats, and there's lots of avenues of cognitive science. You want to figure out what brain function does what if you don't have statistics, because nothing is perfect in cognitive science. So all you have is data. And this class is all about analyzing data, I promise. Last night we had a couple majors. I said, well, you don't use statistics, but this will be fun anyway. We haven't had one of those yet. Chris?
Yeah, my name's Chris. I'm from Escalon, so pretty close to Denair. I'm an MJC graduate, and my major is criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Criminal justice also, all the decisions, or a lot of them, they take data. And the good thing about criminal justice, it's easy to get data because you're watching the prisoners all the time, or you're dealing with that. So you want to find out, what kind of parole type thing is going to work so that they don't go back in the prison, for example, or what actions do you need to take when you're stopping someone at a police stop so that you don't end up with a violent encounter or whatever. And you look at data and you decide, and you got to do statistics. Otherwise, it's just gut instinct, which does not work, by the way. You got to have statistics. And Elizabeth? I can't hear you. You're not on mute, but it looks like you don't have a microphone. Maybe your computer's on mute. Any thoughts? I think we just lost Elizabeth. In fact, everything got mixed around. All right. I think we'll It looks like she turned off. She'll come back in. Dominique?
Hey, my name is Dominic. I live out here in South Lake Tahoe, and I am doing all my prereqs for nursing. I'm actually putting on my nursing apps for a master's program right now.
Great, great. I've talked about nursing. Welcome. And Gary? You need to unmute. I can unmute you if you want. Now you're unmuted. Unmuted, but I still can't hear you. Looks like your computer doesn't have sound on it. I can see your mouth, but well, welcome anyway. And Lauren McCauley?
Hi, let's see, I am from South Lake Tahoe, currently living there, and I'm a marketing major.
Okay, marketing, as I mentioned, business and marketing, really important to do statistics. We'll have lots of applications in this. Okay, Honora? I don't know how do you pronounce your name though?
It's Honora. Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm going to Lake Tahoe Community College, and I'm actually about to graduate finally with my performing arts degree. But I think statistics are fascinating. I'm kind of just a geek, so I feel like statistics are like always brought up in conversation, and yeah.
I just read an article about an hour ago that gave the top 8 careers for making money. And one of them was statistics, and another was mathematics. And as long as you're not teaching, actually, a professor asked me one, but for some reason they had a lot more money than I make on it.
Nice.
So maybe
yeah, I think performing arts is like probably really low on that scale as far as like money making, but
it was not in that list of top 8.
No.
But if you know statistics and you can do that as an extra side, that's always helpful.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I want to mention, and I've tried to mention to y'all, is that this class is the most applicable math class that I teach. And I don't say that to all my other math classes also, by the way. This is the one where it's used everywhere. Whenever I'm asked to do consulting, it's almost always in statistics. Almost always, because everybody needs it in just about every field. So that's the good news, is that you will not think that this is a waste of time because you'll never need that formula or whatever. That happens in algebra a lot, and you probably remember that, where honestly, you'll probably never need the quadratic formula, at least the majors that you told me. I had one student yesterday who would, because it was a STEM major, but you guys won't need that heavy algebra stuff, but you will need statistics and even daily life stuff. It's really helpful. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to start and talk about the class and show you the Canvas site. I've noticed almost all of you have gone into the Canvas site. This one, I think. Let me go to where it says home. I was doing some fixing a little while ago. Okay, so here's the Canvas site. When you go, the first couple weeks, I put you on this because this gives you my little intro speech. And it's good to listen to, and then maybe in a week or so, I'll send you to the main page that we're going to be going to and doing all the work in. But this is kind of a good start page. So let me show you the syllabus, because that's going to give you kind of all the things that are going on in class. Just a second. And I want to let you know if you have any questions anywhere through. The whole point of these webinars is to be able to ask questions and to be able to have conversations so that if you're confused about something, you'll get an answer instantly. Okay? Otherwise, you can post on the Q&A forum, it turns out it's called, or it's what I call it. And I'll answer you pretty quickly, but it often won't be instantly. If you send something at 2 in the morning, I will be sleeping. And you will not get an instant answer because I'll be sleeping. But in the webinars, you have time to ask questions. So please ask questions when you have them. So I'm going to go through a lot of this, not everything, but a lot of the syllabus. First thing is I answer my email often. I'm on it more often than is healthy. I'm an email user. I'm a computer user. I'm not a big smartphone user. I typically kind of leave that at wherever my desk is and I go away. But I'm on the computer all the time. So if you have anything personal that you don't want other people to know about, or you don't think other people do need to know about, things like your location at which you're taking the exam. It doesn't help the rest of the class to know where you're taking the exam. That you email me. If you have any questions that it will help other people, then we have a discussion forum that you can post on so other people can benefit from seeing that conversation. So that's what you want to be thinking about. Can others benefit or not? And if they can, if they cannot, send me an email and that'll work great. The Canvas page, that's where we are now. Live lectures and office hours, you all know that because that's the site that we got into. If you click that, it'll give you that link again so you can get back in if you lost the link or whatever. Archive lectures, this actually doesn't work yet because this goes to last quarter because we don't have an archive lecture yet. We will in about an hour. Actually, YouTube tends to take about 20 minutes to post, so probably more like an hour and a half. This lecture will be on. So will tomorrow's lecture, et cetera, et cetera. And in fact, tomorrow at 6, I will be giving a webinar on chapter 1 and 2. Unlike the orientation webinar, it's not mandatory that you show up live or I give this really punitive essay you have to write. If you cannot make the webinars, then you can watch it on YouTube, and then that's good enough. There'll be, and even if you watch it live, there's going to be a quiz that I call the I don't remember what I call it, secret word quiz, I think I call it, where I give a secret word during the webinar, and the quiz has one question: what was the secret word? You type in the secret word, you get 100%, you're done. So it's just a did you watch the webinar quiz, and that is whether you do live or whether you do it as an archived webinar. Okay. As I mentioned, I'm a big believer in multimedia. So I have created full-length lectures. And if you go to these full-length lectures, in a second it'll pop up. This is a list. There are 13 of them because there are 13 chapters in the book. So I've created full-length lectures that you can see here, 52 minutes, 51 minutes, 36 minutes, however long it takes for me to go through it. There's a couple that are an hour. And that will give you my lecture on the course that is, I like to say, is very polished. So I edit it, I make sure there's no mistakes, I remove the buts and the ums and that kind of stuff. It's a very polished lecture, very different than what you're seeing today, which is more interactive. So let me go back. I also have short little videos for all of the types of examples of problems that we work on in class. Okay? And you're going to mostly use these when you do the homework, and there'll be a link to the specific one that's going to help you to work out that homework problem. And that's a little button to watch. And they're usually like 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Very different than the full-length lectures. These are very focused on that kind of problem. Okay? And that's the worked out examples. The short introductory ones, those are just a little, 2-minute little thing on what we're doing for the week. I also created some interactive applets. I'm a programmer. I've been programming longer than some of you have lived. And so I've created a lot of applets that could help you out, and I'll show you when it comes time to look at it. The textbook. One of the things that I pride myself in is I am one of the statewide leaders in what's called the OER initiative. For you guys, the important thing about OER, it means free book. So there is no cost at all for the book that we're going to use. I used to use one that was $280, and we've gone from that to $0. So I've never gotten a complaint about the $0 thing. So there's a free textbook that we use. It was originally written by Barbara Lowski, and it's been since kind of revised and done by committee. Actually, I can be proud that I wrote 1 page out of the 600 pages or so, because I sent Dr. Lowski an email saying, here's a topic that's not in the book, and it'd be great if you can put it in. And she sent me that one back saying, okay, can you write it? And I did. So, but basically, this is the book. If you click on it, it will send you to the textbook in a moment. And there's a newer version. You can click on that. Might as well look at the new version. Okay, and if you go to contents, this will give you each of the chapters. And as I mentioned, there are 13 chapters. So we're going to be doing chapter 1 and 2 tomorrow. So if you want to go to chapter 2, for example, and you want to learn about box plots, there it is. And what you want to do is you want to read that chapter. They're not excessively long or something, but they'll take you a little time to read through. So again, there's lots of approaches to learning the material in this class. One is reading the textbook. Another is watching the video. Another is this interactive webinar that we have. And then there's going to be some others too, which is doing the assignments. And the combination of that, you all should do great. Okay, that always happens. If you do nothing, you'll be dropping the class. So you got to do, what you need to do to learn this stuff. So that is important. It takes some time, but it's something that you should all be able to do. Okay, and again, if you have questions, please let me know. Okay, I'm here to answer questions too. I'm going to let you read through the course description and student learning outcomes and the prereq. Again, that's something that we'll get into as we go. The prereq, you're in the class, you have it. The other main thing here is this is what you're going to be graded on. So I do 90, 80, 70, 60 for the course. And in this, there are quizzes. I think I might change that someday and call them assignments instead of quizzes. I think Canvas calls them quizzes, and then they become assignments or something weird like that. But they're online. This class is an online class, so this stuff is online. There are discussion posts. Let me ask you, and let's see if you guys can do this, because it's a good thing to try now. There is a chat box. Put in the chat box either yes or no. Yes if you have taken an online class before, any course, and no if this is the first online class you've ever taken. I'm getting a lot of yeses. Amazing. Okay, so everybody's a yes. Everyone was a yes last night too. That's not normal actually. I guess there's a new pattern happening in the world, is that online students are truly online students instead of taking one online class and the rest face-to-face. So my guess is that for all of you, you had discussion posts that you had to do, because that's pretty much true of every online class, is that you had to do discussion posts. You've had to do discussion posts in your online class. If you're confused on what that is, I'll show you, but that's normal. So that's a piece of this. And what you're going to find about the discussion posts is, for me, the main purpose of them is for you to practice written homework. Whereas the online quizzes they're fill in the blank, multiple choice, number answers, that kind of thing. Whereas the discussions, you're going to have to write a paragraph or two. And that you're going to have to do on the exams also. So it is your best way of practicing for the exam when it comes to the writing part of the exam. So that is really important. There are 2 projects in this class. And these projects are group projects. I'll talk about that in a bit when we get down to the project section. There are also 2 proctored exams. And here's what that means for a proctored exam. You must go to a proctor center. Okay, for many of you, you're either at Modesto or you are at LTCC. Not all of you. So let me deal with them first, you guys first, because that's like 2/3 of y'all. At LTCC, we have a proctor center, and that is in our library. What you need to do is you need to contact them a little in advance. I recommend a week in advance, but they can handle a day in advance, just to make sure that they can handle you. If you go a week in advance, you're basically guaranteed the time you want. They are open Sunday through Friday. They're closed on Saturday, and they're not open at night. So it is something. There are only 2 exams. So you need to make sure that those happen. MJC, they have a testing center, and I work with them a lot. Again, I don't quite understand why I have such a following in Modesto, but I do. So I know the Modesto people. They're great to work with. They know how the exams work with me, and there's basically never a problem. That's the good news. Okay, for the rest of you, and there are just a few of you, there is almost certainly going to be a proctor center near you. So proctor centers could be a college. If you go to a college or you're near a college, contact them and see if they've got one. If not, then the Sylvan Learning Center, for some reason, they do proctoring. A lot of people use them. They're a little costly. And by the way, any charge, Tahoe's free, but any charge in your town is you have to pay for. Sorry about that. But there are learning centers, typically tutor centers, mostly for children, but they'll do proctoring because it's easy for them. They can make some bucks, and all they do is hand you a test and then send it to me, email it to me when they're done. So you have to let me know. Best is a week ahead of time. I'm going to give you plenty of reminders about it, okay, where you're going to be taking the test. Because if I don't know where you can take the test, then they're not going to get the test because I have to send it to them. So that's why you have to let me know. That's all I ask. And I will be on top of you guys if you don't let me know. So because I want you all to pass. And it's a disaster if you don't let me know where. Okay, the test, huh?
For the proctor exams, does that just have to be, since I'm at a different university, does that just have to be anyone at the university has to get in contact with you, or does that have to be a specific person?
Most universities have a testing center. Which university are you at?
I'm at Olivet Nazarene University in Illinois.
Okay, honestly, I know nothing about them. But my guess is they might have a testing center. If not, I will accept like a faculty member who will do it for you.
Okay.
As long as they're on their webpage. So what I do is I do a little check on the website, make sure that they're truly a faculty member.
Okay, yeah.
And then I do that. Check to see if you guys have a testing center, because most universities do.
I know that we don't actually have a testing center because I took a statistics class last summer and I wasn't able to do it at a school here. I had to go down south more.
Mm-hmm. So, I do accept officials. So that could be a professor. I had a student last quarter, for example, who was in the military, and the commanding officer proctored it.
Okay.
So as long as it's an official person, I do look up the reference to make sure that they truly are there and all that. So you can't just ask a friend, for example.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Because I will do the research. Okay, so that's not a problem. I make it work for you. And if you can't find it, I will do the research, and I will find someone who can proctor in your area.
Okay, and that's just for the 2 exams?
Yes, just 2 exams.
All right.
Only 2 exams you have to get proctored. That's why I only give 2 exams, because it's a lot of there's effort in doing that whole arrangements for you guys. So I try it. So I just cut it to 2 exams. For my regular face-to-face class, we do 4 exams. But I figure if I did that, it could get expensive for those who have to pay.
And then one more question. For the final exam, is the final exam make it or break it? Like,
okay.
For the class.
All right, so first thing you'll notice, it is 300 points. That's 30% of the grade. It is add up to 1,000. So if you get a 0 on the final exam, which is pretty impossible if you know the stuff a little bit, but if you got a 0, then it would be make it or break it. But you only get a 0 if you don't take it. Pretty hard to get a 0 on a final.
Okay.
Or if you just left everything blank because, I don't know, you were drunk or something. But so it's not completely make it or break it, but it's influential in your scores.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and by the way, this is the whole point of these, so please ask questions. So thanks, Sebastian, for asking us that. Because again, these are important.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
As far as weekly chapters go, on average, would you just do 1 to 2 chapters a week, or?
Yeah. So there's 13 total chapters, and there are 11 regular weeks.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you can do the math, 1 or 2.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do 2 when they're a little lighter. I do 1 when they're heavier chapters. So chapters 1 and 2, you kind of know a lot of the stuff anyway, like how to find the average. And you learn that in 6th grade.
Right.
So there's a lot of it that's pretty easy in chapter 1 and 2. Some of the chapters, I don't do the entire chapter, so I do pieces of it, and then I put 2 of those, even though I'm really doing half of this one and half of this one. Mm-hmm. So I don't cover every page of the book, but I do cover a lot of it.
Okay.
And I'll let you know each week.
webinar per week or so.
Yeah, what I do for the webinars, except this week, because the orientation's different, because I'm not going over any statistics today. We're just going over the class. But tomorrow, we're doing the webinar in the chapter. So I'm going to do one webinar a week. And unless, it's interesting, I try to make them 1 hour. But on the weeks we have a project, or where I have to talk about the project, either we're going to go over that hour, or we're going to do 2 webinars. And you guys can, let me know what's best for you. I'm here for you guys. But there's a little more to talk about when there's a project, because that takes some discussion. Also, the midterm, sometimes I do 2. One review for the midterm, and one is on the chapter for the week. Okay,
I have a quick question as well. Will the webinars typically be around 6 p.m. or will they differ in times?
It depends what you guys want. So I take requests. This week I chose these times because I found in the past it's best, and since I don't know you guys yet, you haven't had a chance to even discuss it. So what you'll do is you'll post on the Q&A saying, can we have this webinar on this time?
Sweet,
okay?
Thank you.
I found that 6 is the most often requested time. I've been teaching this for a lot of years. Doesn't mean we always have to do 6. Next week, for example, we won't do Monday because Monday's a holiday, and I try to respect Martin Luther King's birthday. So Tuesday or Wednesday, we could do a lunch webinar. But again, what I usually do is I take the request that's most often requested. In other words, the highest number of requests. And I will let you know now for next week. I'll check out my calendar. I think you're looking at it, right? You can see my calendar, right? Yeah. So next week, again, Monday's a holiday, so all this should be not there. Tuesday, I am free after 12, so we could do a lunch webinar. I'm free completely after 12, so anytime. I'm not a night owl, though. I won't do a 9 p.m. webinar because you don't want me falling asleep during the webinar. So it has to be before 9. Okay, Wednesday is a pretty busy day for me. It would have to be, if you want Wednesday, it would have to be in the afternoon or evening. Okay, I'd like to have them toward either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, though, because after that, you don't have enough time to do all the work that you need to do. So we try to make it that. So next week, Tuesday or Wednesday. And you can post on the Q&A when you want to have it. And then I'll take the biggest request, the one that's most requested. Okay, just a note on the exams, you get to bring in a 3x5 note card, 3-inch, by the way, not feet. 3-inch by 5-inch note card, front and back. You can write whatever you want on it. I am not a believer in making you memorize formulas. Instead, I'm a believer in making you be able to apply concepts. So that's what the 2 exams are going to be about, is applying concepts. The formulas you should have on your note card. Okay, just a second. I also find talking like this really sucks out all my liquid. I need lots of water. Okay, quizzes. Quizzes are officially due on Sundays, but I expect you to be working on them and try to get at least a decent score by Friday, and then you can improve on it. If on Friday you realize you're going to need more time, ask me. But if you don't ask me by Friday, I won't give you extended time, because my expectation is you get a decent score by Friday. So you should know by Friday whether you can't do that. Do you see that? I want to reward you for not being a last-minute person. Okay, it's a good quality in life to be able to have a schedule and plan ahead. So this is my way of doing that. Okay. There's also going to be, I like to call it a little online exam, and that's much longer and more points than the regular quizzes, and that's going to cover chapter 1 through 6. Okay, and that's just a note. It'll be on February 11th. It'll be due. So we'll talk about that beforehand. The discussions, the due dates for the discussions are the following. The first initial post is due Thursday, and then your final reply is due Sunday. So I ask you to post by Thursday, because if you post Sunday night, nobody's going to be able to reply. So that's my rationale behind that. If you post on Wednesday or Tuesday or Monday, then I'll look at it And if it needs help so you don't lose points, I'll let you know so you can gain points on it, okay, for your initial post. So most of them are going to be posting an article that relates to what we're doing, and then someone else is going to reply and analyze that article in using our statistical terminology and our statistical tests. We'll get into that as we go. Any questions about the discussions? Okay, live webinars we're in now. The orientation is different than the rest of them. The orientation, I want you all to attend. I think it's really important to be there live. The regular ones, tomorrow we have the regular first week webinar. I'd like you to attend because I think it's more helpful. But if you can't, then I'm okay with you watching it on YouTube. So right now I'm recording this, for example. I will be posting it on YouTube for the 1, 2, 3 people. No, sorry, 2. There's only 2 of you that aren't in it. I wonder if they'll drop the class or if, I don't know what happened. I haven't gotten an email from them or anything. I tried to make sure that I told everybody if I didn't see you. I texted everyone. I don't know if you noticed that, to make sure that if you hadn't already looked at the site, that I texted to make sure you're on board so that you knew it was coming. So the live webinars are important. You must either attend or watch them archived by Sunday. Okay, you can attend on the day, and that's good. And then there'll be a word given, and you give a secret word, and that's wonderful. If you don't, it'll be really ugly for you. So if you miss it by Sunday, it'll be on YouTube. And if you don't watch it and post on Sunday, then you could either lose 5% for the whole class per one you miss, which is really brutal, or you could write a 5-page essay, which is also really brutal. So in other words, don't miss the webinars. Okay, watch it archived if you can't make it live. Live is better because you can ask questions during it, but archived is just fine. Any questions about it? Any questions? Most of the webinars are going to be very different than today. Most of them are going to involve me working out statistics problems, having you guys fill in some of the details, different kind of interactivity. Okay, projects, which I'll briefly discuss right now. There are 2 projects, and they are group projects, groups of 2 or 3. Strongly recommend 3. And I don't even remember the last time anybody tried to do it by themselves and I got a passing grade, because you immediately get 15% off. And then whatever else you get off, because you only worked alone and you probably didn't have as much work on it as if you worked with 2 people, and it's never as good. So they're almost always Fs. So you need to work with each other, okay? You're online students. It does not mean that you shouldn't be communicating. You just communicate online, okay? And that could be Skype, it could be email, it could be by phone. Whatever you use, you are responsible for being able to communicate online, because an online class does not mean a class where you're alone. It means a class where you're working online with each other. So that's just a big note, is that that is part of the projects. I'll be talking about all the details of it. One of the main things is, if you want a good grade, send me your draft beforehand, at least 48 hours before it's due. I'll look at it and I'll tell you all the mistakes and all the improvements you need to make to get an A. Okay, if you don't, then good luck. It's very hard to get a good grade without showing me first, because I'm going to enlighten you on the things you didn't have in there. Okay. Q&A forum, I mentioned that, and I'll show that to you. That's how do you ask questions. I have anonymous feedback. If you click that, you can help me out on improving the class, and I'll look at it from time to time, and then I'll help the whole course on that. I'll let you look at the Netiquette guidelines. That's basically be polite to each other. Even if you're not face-to-face with someone, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be nice. So be nice. I have office hours every day except Thursday, except I'm in my office all the time anyway. So if you want to meet with me either in person or Zoom or on phone or however, I'll be happy to do that with you. There is a calculator required for the class. Okay, I strongly recommend the TI-84 because that's the one the videos that I've created have. You don't actually have to own it. If you live in Tahoe, you can rent it for $5 for the entire quarter. The only time you absolutely need the calculator is for the 2 exams, for the midterm and for the final exam. The rest of the time, you could use online calculators, and I've actually created one where you can do everything for this class with that. But for the midterm exam, I can't allow you to have a computer where you can get online and ask people questions and stuff during the test. Hopefully you understand that. So that's where you have to have the calculator. If you have a learning disability, I will accept any recommendation. If you have your college's disability specialist and they have a recommendation for accommodations, I will make it happen for you. If you come here and Bob, that's our guy, makes a recommendation, I'll make it happen for you. Okay, so just make it work and it'll happen. There is tutoring. 2 types. One is here at the college, which is sporadic, but even better is there's NetTutor, which is free online tutoring. And there is a, I'll show you in a bit, but there's a tab for that. You click on that, and the cool thing is every minute of the day, 365 days a year, there's a tutor available for you. Or 366 would be in 2 years, I guess, right? Because that's leap year. But there's always a statistics tutor that's waiting to help out, which is pretty cool. California pays for that, and take advantage of it. The funny thing is, 3 days ago, I actually had a Zoom meeting with the head of NetTutor, just coincidentally. He wanted to know, I have this big grant, he wanted to talk to me about my grant. And he's a good guy, and they're really working hard to help you guys out. So as I mentioned, if you want to pass this class, you can do it. Okay, there's work to do. There's lots of help for you. I'm here to help. The NetTutor's here to help. There's videos, there's the textbook. There's lots and lots of resources. All you have to do is take advantage of it. Okay, let me show you the main page that you're going to use in Canvas, and that's modules. So when you click on modules, in a moment, that's going to be all the stuff. The first piece is all the stuff I just talked about. Okay, that was all the links in the syllabus, and here it is all in one shot, and it's got extra stuff too. I'll let you read through it. More importantly, there is the weekly module. So if you click on the first link, this is a little video. And what I try and do just for fun on these little intro videos, just a couple minutes each, is I do it at a different place on campus. So even if you're not at LTCC, you'll feel like you're at LTCC because you'll get to see our whole campus. So I give you a tour of the campus and I talk about statistics throughout and I relate it to something. Watch the little videos, just a couple minutes. Gives you an idea what to do. Click the next button. And this is the orientation webinar. We're in it now. You click the next button. Then this is tomorrow's webinar. Okay. By the way, when I get this on YouTube, I will post a link. I just don't have one yet because you don't get a link until you actually have a video. But so on the first line or so, it'll say you can watch the archived webinar at, and then it'll show you. So that's how you get there. Obviously, there is no link to it yet because I haven't done it yet. Okay, and I will have a playlist established once we have the first webinar. Once this one is produced, there'll be a playlist established, and then you'll have all the webinars that you can look at. Okay, then if I go to next button again, this is kind of the week's learning outcomes. And then if I go to the next button again, this is that full-length video on Chapter 1. I showed these to you before, but now we're focused. So this is just this week's videos. Full-length on Chapter 2. Go quickly. These are all the short videos of worked out problems that I created. I do, these videos are PowerPoint-based videos. So I do voiceover PowerPoint. These are the PowerPoints in case you want to print them out and take notes or something. So it's one more way of seeing the material. Okay, so here is the first discussion. This week is a unique week. We have 2 of them. The first one is just fun, okay? It's a get to know each other one. And in fact, in the first one, I recommend you reply to everybody or a lot of it because it's an easy, fast reply. So let me show you how this one works. I've already done it. So I have created, this is the description of what you have to do. And I always post an example. So here are 2 truths and 1 untruth. And I'm not going to tell you which one is not truthful and which ones are truthful. But I will tell you that 2 of these are real. See if you can guess which are truthful. Okay, number 1 is I was a politician for 9 years. And in my first election, I won by 3 votes. The second is I presented in the International Symposium for Statistics in London, England. And the third is I am currently consulting for the Democratic Party to help them understand which candidate to endorse based on statistical studies. 2 of those are true. 1 of those is not true. And Courtney has already replied. Courtney thinks that number 1 is not truthful, okay, etc. And so has Gary, so lots of people have replied. And you'll notice that a lot of people have already participated. For example, Chris, which I think is here, said used to work as a certified massage therapist, investigated worker in a highly specialized law enforcement unit in narcotics and trafficking. And I love to road bike and do at least 60 miles a week. Okay, and you can do it. This is just fun, but you must do it. You might as well get free fun points. Take them when you can get them, right? Okay, by Thursday you must have your initial post, and by Sunday you must have replies. You could do it all early, of course. Early is always okay. Okay, let me go to the bottom, and let's hit the next button. The next one's more serious. Okay, so the next one is more like what most of these discussion forums are going to look like. And this is where you actually do statistics. So let me read this one because this is more typical. So for this discussion, please first find an article online or course video that discusses a study that was done that uses one of the sampling techniques that we've discussed in this class. You'll want to search online for a journal article, a news article, or course video. Okay, one resource for the course video is here, and I have a link to, I did a sabbatical a few years back on all the applications that happen in math. And so I have a whole set of statistics applications. So you might be able to find one there. Okay, don't post one that someone else has already posted. I understand if you and someone else post within 2 minutes and you accidentally post it, that's okay. But I'll take off points if someone else posted the same link yesterday and you wait a day and now post it. So look through everyone else's, don't repost. Okay, then post a link to the article. Then find a link from another student's post and reply to that student's post. Don't reply to your own post, reply to someone else's post. Discussing the sampling technique that was done in the study. Now, you haven't learned that yet. That'll happen tomorrow evening. But enough time to be able to do this by Thursday. Okay, you could also read the book early if you want to do it, say, tonight. Okay, comment on whether the technique produced a representative sample. Identify any biases that may have occurred and describe how the data collection could have been improved in order to avoid these biases. So I will always post a example post. Okay, the one thing that you should not do that I'm doing is reply to yourself. I reply to myself so that you know what a reply looks like, a good reply. So my example post is to honor the nursing students in our class, because at least yesterday I had a bunch. I did this yesterday evening. Okay. Nurses keep healthy lead as the most honest, ethical profession. If you click that, it sends you to the article. And there it is. I'm not going to read the whole article, but you read the article and you can see it. So if you're going to reply, you read the whole article, you will see, usually it's towards the bottom of an article, not always, They'll tell you about how the survey was done. Then you're going to reply to someone else's. And by the way, I put a little note here, is that if you're going to post a link, right after the link, hit the space bar once, and that'll make it a live link. It makes it easier for everyone else to be able to click on it. Otherwise, it doesn't become live, and they're going to have to copy and paste it into the URL bar. Okay, make sure that you're not using a link that only you can get to. So if you have a subscription to something, then other people are not going to be able to open your link if it's a subscribed link. So make sure that it's a public link. Okay, so then I write down, the researchers used stratified random sample as stated at the end of the article. Notice I am using the statistical terminology of the week, and that's what I'm going to be looking for when I grade it. Are you using the terminology correctly? Are you doing the statistics that you're supposed to be doing? And then I copied and pasted the part of the article that gave the information I needed to be able to answer this. And then I did an analysis. The researchers stratified by phone type by establishing quotas for cell and landline and also for time zone. In terms of where the respondents lived and what type of phone they used, this was a representative sample. The researchers intended this to be a stratified random sample by using a computer to select random phone numbers. This stratification design reduces some bias, but bias will still exist. By the way, if you think there's no bias in the article you're looking at, think again. That's something we'll learn, I'll talk about tomorrow. Bias is always there. It's impossible to have a perfect survey. You can't do that. So you'll find bias. Since this was a telephone survey without any incentive for answering, it is prone to voluntary response bias. It is possible the type of person who would answer a telephone survey might be more likely to have free time due to a health issue, making them especially grateful to the nurse who provided assistance in the hospital. Offering each person a gift such as $5 to answer the question might reduce this bias, but of course that would cost $5,245 plus the cost of delivering the money to each respondent. So I always will do an example post. Look at my example post. That will help you in seeing how the structure of a reply happens. No one has done this yet because you haven't learned this stuff yet. Okay, my guess is we'll get lots of posts after tomorrow evening, maybe even earlier, but after tomorrow early evening, then you'll be ready because you'll have had this material. Any questions on what this looks like? Okay, let me hit the next button. Okay, this is the quiz. And some of you may have done computer quizzes before. Actually, let's do this again. Type in N if you've never done a computer quiz, and a Y if you have done an online quiz. Okay, I'm getting lots of yeses. Okay, good, good. So you're used to this. You probably haven't done this one before because I wrote it. Okay, I actually have a team, and I did that over the summer with a team of 2 other people. For those who got really early, you saw me talking to Jessica. She was on my team, and she was helping me dealing with a technical issue we have, but it should work now. Okay, Jessica's the technical expert on this part. I'm the programming expert. We all have expertise. And I created all these questions, or most of them. So I don't expect you to be able to answer these now because you should be looking at your textbook and watching tomorrow's webinar and stuff like that, and then you'll be ready. Okay, this is free. You don't have to pay. I've got it set up so you can do each question multiple times until you get the right answer, but you're not going to get the same question. I have a pool of questions per question, so you'll get a different one, but it'll have the same concept addressed when you click try again. Okay, so you should do well because you can keep trying. Okay, so I recommend you keep going until you get it right.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Would you say that on the quizzes and exam, or on the exams, we could find commonly that the practice questions might line up with what will be on the final exam?
Okay, the final exam is going to be different I'm going to give you practice questions because it's a written final exam.
Okay.
This is a computer graded exam, so there's a lot more multiple choice, short little things instead of there's going to be a lot of writing in the final exam. So
would you say the tests would correlate with this as well, or would you?
The exams are going to correlate more with your discussion posts.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I also have a practice final, and for your exam, your midterm exam, I have a skeleton. So what I'll do is I will take your midterm exam and I will erase the pieces of it that have the detailed information, and I'll post all the rest, and you'll get to see that.
Sweet.
Right? And when we get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're not doing that today because we have a long time for the midterm.
Sweet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good question. Really good question. Let me hit the next button. And now this is the chapter 2 one. There's a chapter 1 and chapter 2. I do this by chapter, by the way. So this is a little quiz or assessment for chapter 2. You'll notice that a lot of these have multiple parts. So in this one, you got to find the min, Q1, med, Q3, and max. By the way, the calculator does all this for you. This is do you know how to use a calculator? Okay, and do you know how to read this? You have to read this too. Okay. All right, let's go next. And this is a secret word quiz. Right now, this is unpublished because we haven't had our secret word yet. There is no secret word yet because this is for tomorrow night. So there'll be a secret word, and it won't look like this for you guys. It'll look different. It'll just show you the question. The question will be, what was the secret word? And you type it in. And I'm not sure, that might have been the last one. Yeah, and that's it. So that's what a week's going to look like. Okay, and hopefully that helps you. You can also look at it again in the modules. You could also minimize this so you can jump right to the week you're in, and you can see it one at a time if you want to jump. You don't have to hit the next button. You can skip around and do whatever you want. Just a couple notes. I do a lot of communication using the announcements. These announcements get fed to your email, your college email. So if you don't look at your college email, that's fine, but then you should go to your college email and forward that either to your text, your phone text, if that's what you use, or to your email that you look at, whatever you look at, so that when I'm communicating to you, I really am communicating to you instead of sending it to something that you never look at. Does that make sense? I will be sending a lot of announcements. It's better, I know someone already did this. Let's see what happened. It's better that you don't reply to the announcements because I don't look at that all the time. I look at the Q&A forum all the time for questions. Okay. So this is, let's see, there's a long one. Okay, so this was a reply. I might have looked at this one already. You're here, so you're good. I just noticed. So you're better off using the Q&A, and if you go to discussions, this is what I wanted to show you. Under pinned discussions, I put the important discussions for the week. So right now, the important discussions, Q&A will always be up there because that's where you ask questions. Right now, no one's asked a question yet, but that will change. I have a special discussion for projects. I found that there are so many questions, otherwise it gets into multiple pages, it gets to be a pain. So I have a project discussion forum. This is the place where you find partners. You will notice that Courtney and Sarah have already posted. They found each other, which is great. Hopefully they'll find a third person because I recommend a third person. And maybe Kelsey wants to be a third person. So hopefully they want to be together. And now we have a trio. It's very easy to find a partner. There is no excuse. You post and someone will partner with you. You should write a few things. If you're okay working completely online, then go for it. Say you're okay. If instead you would rather work with someone in your town, then say so. Tell them where you live. Okay? Online should work, though. You're online students. Okay? If you can't find anyone in your town, you need to be able to work online. Okay? But again, if you want to do face-to-face in your town, you can do that. That's up to you. Okay? Also, it's a place that's project discussion is a place to pose questions about the project itself. Like, I'm confused about what it means to analyze a stem and leaf plot. Can you help me on that? And then I will look at it, and these I look at all the time, and I'll post a reply to it and help you out. Okay? So that's the project discussion forum. Okay, and then these are the two I already showed you. There's often different ways of getting to the same thing. This is how you get to the discussions. Are there any questions at all? We're at 7 o'clock, and I always try to make it an hour if I can. But
Yes, I had a question.
yeah.
So, like, about how long or how many hours a week, like, do you think this should take us?
Okay, everyone takes a different amount of time, of course.
Because I'm a slower worker, so that's just why I'm.
It's a 5-unit class. So those are, I don't know, Daryl, are you from a semester? Are you from here? Or I forgot. Or are you from somewhere else?
I'm from MJC.
Okay, so one of the things that you may not be used to is that at this college, we're a quarter system college, which means that we only go 12 weeks. Okay. So the good news is you're done in 12 weeks. The bad news is it's more time per week because it's the same amount of material you would get at MJC in your semester college. In is it 18 weeks at yours?
I think it's 16.
16. So you're at what's called compressed semester, but that's still a lot longer than our 12-week. Do you see?
Yeah.
So most people probably take around 10 hours a week. Some weeks are going to be a little longer. Expect the projects to take a bit longer, because there's a lot of writing. They tend to be like 8 to 10 page papers, you know. But remember, you're working with a group because there's 3 of you. That's only a few pages each. Look at it that way. Okay. It's hard to tell you exactly how long it's going to take, but it does take time. It does take time. This isn't a 30-minute class. Don't expect to like do the whole class between 10 p.m. and 12 p.m. on Sunday. But usually, like I said, it's around 10 hours-ish. Again, I don't want to guarantee anything because everyone works at different paces. But if you spend a half an hour, you'll fail. That's guaranteed. Okay, I can't guarantee how much time it's going to take other than not a half an hour. I mean, it does take time. That's a hard question, but it's a good question, but it's a hard one to answer. But it is time consuming. I'll let you know that. But those who spend the time pretty much always pass. That's the good news. Other questions? So by the way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to unmute you all because this is question and answer time. I've pretty much said what I need to say about the course in terms of my, just standard talking. So now it's time for you to ask questions. So sometimes it doesn't let me unmute you. Actually, it's not letting me. I'm not unmuting anybody. Let's do this. Looks like it's locking my unmute, but you can unmute yourselves. But the way it works, this is the way all webinars are going to work, is that I will be here to answer questions as long as you guys have questions. But I also don't want to totally waste your time. I don't want to just sit here talking about nothing. So when you feel like you've got all your questions answered, say goodnight. And there's a little button that says end meeting. You may have to click the more. And then you can say goodnight and then end the meeting. And then when everybody's gone, then I hit stop and we stop the recording.
All right. Good night, guys. Have a good night.
All right. You too. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
But if you have questions, I'm here to answer if you have them.
I got one question on that for the projects.
Uh-huh.
You said anywhere from like an 8 to 10 paper, depending on what each project. Is that per person in the group or total?
That's a total. And it's not like it has to be 8 pages.
Right.
That's typically a good paper. Typically is around that long.
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't have. I don't have any page requirement. But if you think you can get an A paper with 1 page, you're dreaming.
Okay. But it's my question was mainly just like it's combined. It's not.
Yeah, it's combined. You submit 1 paper as a group.
Okay.
Yeah, and the idea is share the wealth. If there's 3 of you, you have more people to share with, and you'll have less work to do. But you should all read each other's part. You know what I mean? So you can edit it and stuff like that.
for your papers, do you request like a certain format, APA or MLA or whatever?
I'm a math guy, so I'm lenient on that. All I care about is that if you have used a resource, to cite it.
Okay.
And I should be honest. I know I've heard of those two things. I don't have the foggiest on what they look like. What I do when I have to cite something is I go online and I copy and paste and then adjust.
Okay, so you're perfectly fine with just putting like a hyperlink in there as the.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
But don't make it look like you're texting this paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like capitalize I.
Gotcha.
Actually, you shouldn't have the word I because it's a scientific paper, but that's what. But don't make it look like text speak. Other questions? Other questions? Just let you know, I'm here for you, and I will, help you in any way I can. But if you don't ask for the help, I don't know what to do other than my standard.
All right. Thanks for the info, Larry. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
All right, good night. And again, if anyone has questions, I can be here.
I have one more quick question. I was wondering so you said that we have to watch the webinar, not all of them, but we have to watch the webinars. And then I was wondering if you recommend also watching all of the other videos that you have posted, or if the webinars themselves will be enough information for us.
I recommend watching for sure the chapter long video.
Okay, and that's the long one?
Yeah, and they're not that long. I mean, not like 6 hours or anything.
No, but they're not like the short little example ones.
Right, the short little examples are linked. I don't know if you saw, but there was a click here to get a video on this. So if you can't do a problem, click on it and you'll watch the little short video.
Okay.
Those I recommend real time kind of thing.
Okay.
A long video I recommend watching like Monday, you know what I mean? Or Tuesday.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Good night.
All right. You too. Have a good night. Any other questions?
I saw that you had a link for the iPhone. Can you watch the videos from there? Is that what that is?
Well, the videos are going to be YouTube.
Okay.
So the iPhone link. Oh, that was for the webinars. You want to join the webinar via iPhone. It's not the video, but what we're in now.
Okay, so we can join the webinar from the iPhone if we don't have our computer available to us.
In theory, but I will let you know I am an iPhone novice.
Okay.
So don't expect any help from me on how to use your iPhone.
Okay.
Very big with computers, but supposedly it works.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So for the project, it's supposed to be for 3 people, right?
3 is my recommendation. 2 is okay. The reason I recommend 3 is if one of your group drops and you have 3, then you still have 2. If you're 2, one of your groups drops, you're screwed.
Okay, and for the project, it can be of nothing, of anything, right? It just.
What do you mean?
Of anything. I haven't looked at it really.
Oh, you mean the topic?
Well. Yeah.
Oh, the topic is very specific. And I will have a whole webinar on it.
Okay.
We're not ready to talk about that yet because you would get lost when I started talking about some of the things because it involves a lot of terminology that we haven't had in this class yet. So, I think next week that might be the time to start talking about it. It's a little early now, just because we don't have the material to even understand it yet. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
But next week we'll have the material to understand it. Okay, good night.
That reminds me, on the project, there are 4 of us from the same town and they go to the same school.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a possibility of letting all 4 of us work together, or you still just want the 3?
You have 2 choices. One is to split up and have 2 groups.
Okay.
But my recommendation is split it up, have 2 groups, and then ask if there's a 3rd person that wants to join your 2-person group.
Okay, so have 2 different groups, but then include someone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
And add a 3rd person. And that way you can share the wealth. But 4 is too many. Because you're allowed to split into 2 groups. But what you want.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Good night.
All right, you have a good night too.
Bye.
Okay, thank you for watching, and hopefully you won't be watching this. I only have a couple, Dominique and Marjorie Yagin, and that's it, I think. Let's see who else needs. I think that's it. So hopefully you're going to have to write an essay for the two of you. So good night.